Welcome to the Raven Knoll Show. I'm your host, Raven C. Knoll. I'm a wife, mother, counselor, mindset coach, and speaker, helping you win from within. Hello, fam. How you doing? I'm so excited. So, I just want to know, as I walk through this information, I kind of want you to reflect and I want you to think and I want you to kind of put yourself inside of this information I'm giving you. And I want you to know, have you ever experienced mental exhaustion? So, the feelings of tiredness, not just in the body, but also in the mind, right? Sometimes we think of exhaustion as something that's physical exhaustion, right? We think about being tired, or we think about not feeling our best, or all those different things. But have you ever experienced mental exhaustion? Not something that's necessarily physical, but something that is in the mind. So maybe you felt it after a long workday full of meetings. Maybe you experienced it after a long week of juggling multiple responsibilities and wearing so many different hats, like being a mom or a wife or a business owner or a career woman, whatever hat that you wear or however you lead in whatever capacity you lead in. But what happens when mental exhaustion is consistent? What happens when mental exhaustion is constant? So today, I actually want to talk to you about 3 warning signs that mental exhaustion is affecting your ability to maximize opportunities. All right? Today, we're going to have a little bit of a chat about how mental exhaustion is affecting your ability to maximize opportunities. All right? So this is what you should know. Mental exhaustion is a byproduct of a lack of rest, okay? So when you feel like you're mentally exhausted, or you're processing through that, you're feeling that, it's a byproduct of not resting. So let's just be honest. You're not resting enough. If you feel mentally exhausted, that means that you're not resting enough. And rest is just not going to sleep at night. Some people say, oh, I go to sleep, I get into bed by a certain time. Rest is not just because you are in the bed and you're going to sleep at night. You have to be intentional about social, mental, emotional, and physical rest, okay? And if not, this is one of the byproducts, again, of not getting enough rest. So, like I said, mental exhaustion is a byproduct of a lack of rest. It can also be considered mental fatigue, all right? And that's a result of prolonged internal and external stressors. When you're experiencing mental fatigue, it's a result of prolonged internal and or external stressors. So there are internal factors and there are external factors. And typically it's a combination of the two. Stressors like juggling multiple responsibilities, like the ones I mentioned earlier, being a wife, being a mom, or having multiple career roles or leadership responsibilities, running multiple businesses, having a corporate career with a high demand, being in corporate America and also having a side hustle. All these different things can play a part, and there are external stressors that play a part in mental exhaustion. But this can also look like, from an internal perspective and an internal standpoint, overthinking. Who's been there? Who's experienced it? Who's experiencing it now? Holding on to thoughts that are connected to perfectionism or people pleasing. When you are overthinking, when you are struggling with perfectionism or people pleasing, that causes stress, internal stress on the mind and the brain. And so these are internal stressors that are happening and play a part in mental exhaustion, okay? So now let's just think about this. What do you think would happen if you worked out at the gym 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours straight? Cardio, weightlifting, getting it in at the gym. 12 to 14 hours a day for 7 days a week, every week. Barely resting, barely taking any time off, not taking time to reset or recover. You're going to become physically ill. That's going to be what's going to happen. You're going to become physically ill. And that physical illness is probably going to cause you what? To miss work or any other opportunities, that require you to physically show up. It's the same with the mind and mental exhaustion. a lot of times we are allowing things like perfectionism. We are allowing things like people pleasing. We are allowing overthinking to stress our brains out 12 to 14 hours a day of just thinking through these things, and the pressures and the stressors of trying to show it perfect, or the pressures and the stressors of trying to please people. And so if you're doing that 12 to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, if you were to work out to that extent, you would become physically ill. So this is why people are struggling mentally and become mentally fatigued and mentally exhausted. Okay? You cannot expect your mind to remain under that type of stress and not eventually cave in. It's not healthy, and it's not how we were created as humans. Okay? Being under that type of mental exhaustion and fatigue, it's just not realistic. So this is dangerous territory for anyone, but especially for you as a female leader. Okay? So who's a big dreamer, a go-getter? Because mental exhaustion and fatigue will slow your momentum down big time. This is not an argument or a debate. Mental exhaustion and fatigue will slow down your momentum big time. Okay? So let me go ahead and jump right into this. All right. So here are 3 warning signs that mental exhaustion is affecting your ability to maximize opportunities. All right. So warning sign number 1, brain fog and decreased mental clarity. Mental clarity and focus are huge necessities for women visionary leaders. They're huge necessities for women visionary leaders, okay? Now, the occasional brain fog, that gets to us all. We all have occasional brain fog just based on our days, based on our responsibilities, based on what's going on. There may be occasional brain fog. But when it's consistent and happening on a regular basis, it's going to make it quite difficult for you to have the proper clarity that is needed to envision your future and actually go after it. When you're constantly in a state of brain fog, how can you actually envision what's to come, right? Brain fog, let's connect this to blurred vision, okay? So those who have blurred vision are either farsighted or nearsighted, right? If you wear prescription glasses or contacts like me, then you know what I'm talking about. Okay? If you have blurred vision, it distorts your ability to see either up close or far away. The same things happen when you have brain fog and decreased mental clarity. You can't properly gauge what's right in front of you or even what's right in the distance. So think about that in the context of opportunities. When you have blurred vision, or you have brain fog, or decreased clarity, levels of mental clarity, you're going to have a hard time seeing current potential opportunities and even those that are a little far out. All right? So then warning sign number 2, indecisiveness. As you already know, a part of being a leader in any capacity is the ability to make sound decisions. Decisions that give direction, provide insight, and make final determinations, okay? Without this ability, everything is in lingo. You cannot call yourself a leader and be indecisive. It's a contradiction. It doesn't work. So, if you are going to be a leader, you have to be able to make sound decisions. But mental exhaustion is going to cause you to be in a place of indecisiveness. You're not going to be able to give direction. You're not going to be able to provide insight. You're not going to be able to make final determinations because you're going to be in a state of indecisiveness. But what you have to understand is that people look to leaders to make decisions. People look to leaders to give direction. People look to leaders to guide them. Not only that, indecisiveness is exhausting. It's exhausting, y'all. It's exhausting to always go back and forth about what decision is the right decision and never feel confident enough to step out on a decision. It really plays on your confidence in the long run, and ultimately, it causes you to stay in a state of second guessing yourself. It's a cycle of second guessing yourself. When you live in a place of indecisiveness, that is going to take that indecisive thinking is going to take a huge hit on your confidence. And then also, it's going to keep you in a cycle of second guessing yourself. Am I making the right decision? Is this the right thing to do? Should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? It's a constant state of going back and forth in confusion. And so there's no way you can effectively walk in new opportunities with this type of mindset. Absolutely not. So when people are decisive and sound, it means that they have the mental bandwidth to effectively plan and execute their goals, whether those goals are short-term or long-term goals. Okay, so again, indecisiveness and leadership, they do not coincide. It's a contradiction. You cannot have both. And so that means there's some ineffectiveness happening within your leadership potential and your leadership ability if you are living in a state of indecisiveness. All right. And then lastly, warning sign number 3, a strong sense of overwhelm. Okay. Which can look like or feel like, if you've experienced overwhelm before, then you know it is a flood of physical, emotional, and mental pressure. It's like when everything suddenly caves in on you and it's just too much to bear. All right. If you've ever experienced overwhelm, the feeling of overwhelm, you know that's how it feels. Everything mentally, physically, and emotionally it just feels like it's so much pressure. And you just get to this state where you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do all this or if I can handle all this, right? And so you can literally get to a point in your life where you start to break down physically, mentally, and emotionally due to the pressure and stress of it all. Now, the issue with overwhelm is that it's not only a symptom of anxiety, because overwhelm is a symptom of anxiety. The basis of it is anxiety, okay? But it's typically also accompanied by worry. And y'all know how it feels to worry, right? You know how it feels to worry. Worry takes over your complete thought life. It takes over your thinking. It takes over your mind. When you are in a state of worry, whatever it is that's causing that anxiety or whatever it is that's causing that overwhelm, it's like all you can do is think about it. You're worried about the outcome. You're worried about the present. You're worried about the future. You're worried about all kinds of things. Worry takes over your thought life. Yeah, overwhelm takes your breath away. It does. It does. So when you are in a state of worry, it's going to affect your sleep. It's going to affect your mood. It's going to affect your ability to concentrate. There's going to be so many effects of that thought, that continuous thought of whatever you're worrying about. It just completely takes over your mind. All right. And it almost gives you no room to focus on anything else. When you are in a state of worry, try focusing on too many other things, right? It's like that thought just continues or just comes back and creeps back in your head, especially when you lay down at night, right? If you're worried about something, overwhelmed about something, anxious about something, you're tossing and turning at night. You're trying to get to sleep. You're trying to, you're trying to get off your mind. But ultimately, it's keeping you up because that thought continues to just keep coming back to your head. What about this? What about that? What's going to happen? Right? It just gives you no room to focus or concentrate on anything else. And so all you're going to do is really worry about what you're worried about. So if your mind is flooded with thoughts of worry, then you don't have the mental capacity to increase, let alone maximize opportunities that are beneficial for you. Because worry steals your focus. And if your focus is overtaken, you can't focus on other things. You can't focus on 5 things at one time. Worry has your focus, all right? So I wanted to give you 3 warning signs that mental exhaustion is affecting your ability to maximize your opportunities, okay? And so if you are experiencing signs of mental exhaustion and yet you have goals that you want to accomplish, I want to give you the opportunity to work with me inside of Mindset to Momentum, okay? And see if it's a good fit for you. My 8-week Mindset to Momentum intensive is now open for enrollment. This is for overwhelmed female leaders who want to accomplish at least 2 of their professional or personal goals by transforming their thinking without burning out in 8 weeks, okay? So this is the intensive version. This will be a 6-month program. and it is application based. So if you are interested, you want to go to mindsettomomentum.com to apply and book a call with me. So you want to go ahead and get the ball rolling on that, and we can chit chat. So if you do want to ask any questions about the program, you can also DM me mindset, and I can answer any questions that you have or any questions that you may need clarified. Okay, so if you are a female leader who's ready to ditch overwhelm and finally achieve your goals with ease, let's do this work. All right. Thanks for rocking and rolling with me. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was beneficial, and I hope that it encouraged you. All right, talk soon. This has been the Raven Knoll Show. Thanks for listening. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to this podcast so you're the first to know when new episodes are released. And don't forget to leave a review. If you can't wait until the next show, follow along on Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter at Raven C. Knoll for more tips and to keep the conversation going. Go ahead and DM me on Instagram or take a screenshot of this podcast and share it to your IG stories. I want to know about your takeaways from the show. Don't forget to tag me and use the hashtag RCNPodSquad. Lastly, visit my website at ravencnoll.com and join my email list to get exclusive bonuses only for my email subscribers. Thanks again for rocking and rolling with me. I'll talk to you soon.